top 10 mock draft, our first one, or 1.0.
Yeah.
Let's see what I got here. All right, so who are you? I guess we can take turns reading first who we have first overall. I've gone so back and forth because I truly believe there are three options for the Jaguars here at number one.
Yep.
In this mock draft, though, I am going to have them take Evan Neal, Alabama.
I also had them taking Evan Neal. I just think they've drafted edge rushing the last few drafts. They've got Josh Allen, they've got other edge rushers, so I don't see it as an immediate need. Yeah, you could always use another elite edge rusher that changes the game if you have that, but I also have them taking Evan Neal because I just think, having a crazy good tackle too also changes your offense, and they really need to provide some protection for Trevor Lawrence here. So,
number two, the Lions. Now this is tough because we have a small sample size of how Brad Holmes drafts. Other than you can kind of look at his input in some of the Rams prior drafts, but when he has a second overall pick, we have not seen that. And when he has two elite edge rushers available to him, does he go with the safer option or does he go with the guy that has the higher upside? And I think what's that? Well, I think yeah. Just say your word.
I think he's going to go with the safer option because it's a culture thing more than anything else, in my opinion. It's a culture pick.
And that's I assume you're talking about Aiden Hutchinson, who I have here. I think he's a Dan Campbell type of guy, kneecaps type of guy, high motor type of guy. And I feel like that's what you always hear with like the cliche white edge rushers. There are not a lot of white edge rushers in the NFL. In fact, there are less than 10% of them are white, actually. But some of the best ones are white. So I think that's why you hear these high motor guys, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt. Kyle Van Bosch was always that guy back in the day too. And I just I don't know. Like we've talked about, I think, Thibodeaux has the ceiling of a Myles Garrett, but he has the floor of a Deion Jordan, which is very scary.
Yep. He also is dumb. Like, I'm sorry. Like, some of the interviews I've heard him, I'm like, this guy's not like. He tries to come off as like this really smart guy, and he was talking to Joel Klatt. What did he say? And I literally stopped and turned off the video once he said it because it wasn't even a word. And he acted like he was so smart. And Joel and Klatt was like, "What?" Like it was so stupid. It was one of the dumbest things. I'll have to look it up and I'll find it. But I just think, again, yes, he has some crazy upside, crazy athletic. He's also coming off of an injury. So that's kind of one of those things. He's been injury prone. I know, Aiden Hutchinson had the big injury last year, but he obviously played this entire season this year. So I just think for me, he kind of epitomizes what the Lions are trying to do from a culture standpoint. And I think that, in my opinion, if the Jags pass on Hutchinson as number one, I think that it's got to be it's almost, to me, it's a no-brainer because it just fits everything. He can fit the defense. If they want to go 3 down, he can be a stand-up linebacker more in TJ Watt mold. He can play 4 down edge. Like, he can do so many different things too. He's played inside too. He can do a lot of those type of things, kind of like the Steelers do with TJ Watt. Kind of bring him from all different spots. And he's going to give you hard work. He's going to give you grit. He's going to do everything he can. And he's the local guy too. So it's going to help some fan base stuff. It's a fan base play there too. I don't think that really matters. It shouldn't in drafting. But to me, when you've got a guy who's, if you got two guys,
it's been 3 years since the Lions have had a Michigan player on their roster, and that was Graham Glasgow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
To me, if you look at it this way, you've got two guys, same position, right? And they're basically neck and neck, almost dead even in pretty much everything, right? The only thing that
Nick
might be
Eubanks in there. And Nick
Yeah, they
Eubanks
did.
for a brief minute. Yeah.
For a little bit. But if they're dead even in pretty much everything, and one guy just has a little bit more upside, but one guy's a bigger culture fit, you got to take the culture fit, in my opinion. I mean, the Lions are filling their team with guys that are that type of guy. That's why they fell in love with Sewell too. I mean, that's why that type of attitude and wants to be there. Aiden Hutchinson's going to want to be wherever he gets picked. I don't think he cares, but that's the kind of guy that the Lions, in my opinion, want, and that's the kind of guy they're targeting. And I think Dan Campbell will certainly have an influence on the pick. And I think that's kind of what they're building here. And I think you can build you can build around that kind of pick too. I mean, his kind of influence on the team is big. So,
what, are you gonna put the stupid guy at number 3 overall, the Houston Texans, just because it's a stupid organization?
No, I'm actually gonna pick. I'm gonna have the guy called Stupid go number 4. I'm going to have Kyle Hamilton going number 3 to the Texans.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, I look at those positions to be of the most need for them. The Texans obviously need to get an edge again. They obviously need to get a safety again. Maybe they want to get a quarterback, and they also need wide receiver. But there's no wide receiver that's worth taking in the probably top 10, in my opinion, in this draft.
Probably not.
So yeah, it really is down to Thibodeaux or Hamilton, and I do have Thibodeaux here to the Texans. And he could turn into like a Jadeveon Clowney or something. But
yeah, Clowney's decent.
Yeah, I mean, but Clowney also has very up and down years too, where it's like he'll 1 year out 16 sacks, 1 year out 7.5, and I'm like, all right. What
See, that's my problem. Where I think the consistency is probably, I mean, barring health and all kinds of other things too, but the consistency I feel like will be there with Hutchinson versus Thibodeaux. Yeah, I could see him being more up and down. He's not Myles Garrett. You know what I mean? That's not Thibodeaux in my opinion. Myles Garrett was like, you want to talk about edge, can't miss. Like that guy, I mean, is insane. And he's always good, right? He's the biggest human I may have ever seen in my life, right? And he's just consistent, right? You weren't going to go wrong picking that guy. You can go wrong, in my opinion, picking Thibodeaux. I think there is a bust chance there, for sure.
Yeah, I've always said he's a very high risk, high reward player, in my opinion. Like, because we've seen another edge rusher from Oregon, like Deion Jordan, he's actually still in the league, surprisingly, but I think he was in like the 2012 draft where he was like 5th or 6th overall, and he's been awful.
He's been terrible.
So you picked the Jets to take Thibodeaux. So we just flip flopped. I do have Hamilton because the Jets have a need at edge, very much so. Have a need at offensive tackle, very much so. And safety is another position that they could use, because I believe Ashton Davis is their number 1 safety right now, besides Marcus May and Ashton Davis, I think. So
their defense was awful last year.
Their front 4 was actually had some push occasionally, but the linebackers are terrible. And
secondary's awful.
Secondary is not good. They have other than like 1 safety and 1 corner. So try to shore it up a little bit more, and I think Hamilton kind of fixes that need a little bit more.
Definitely.
Yeah, number 5. Are we going to be back to the same? Who do you have the Giants taking?
Ikem Ekwonu.
Ooh,
from
NC State.
Yep, yeah. Offensive tackle. Yeah, they need some big offensive line upgrades. And I think that starts when you have a premier tailback. As long as he's healthy, you do need to put in behind an offensive line. And I know Daniel Jones isn't great, but they need some help. Some of the backfield needs a little bit of help, and you put a better offensive line in front of them. I think that makes a difference. So.
Yeah, they just drafted Andrew Thomas, so
he's a legit starter.
Yeah,
he's a legit starter, but he's the only guy on that offensive line, in my opinion, that I could sit there and be like, that guy's legit.
Well, at least the other tackles side needs to be adjusted, because I think Nate Solder he's been dealing with injuries, and I bet he's going to retire pretty soon. Will Hernandez is pretty good at guard, but like, I really do not know where the Giants are going to go, because to be honest, George Karlaftis falls pops in my head here. They might reach on Jamison Williams or a wide receiver that has a crazy combine. They could do that. I definitely tackle is an option here, and I think quarterback is an option here. And because I believe they might move on from Danny Dimes. He hasn't really shown enough. And if they believe that a quarterback is their guy, I believe they are going to draft Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh right here.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I can see it if they move on. If they're ready to move on from Jones, I could definitely see it.
I think Jones has just kind of proven he's going to be a really good backup quarterback.
Yeah, I think it also matters who their head coach is at this time. we don't even know. There's a lot of. That's why I know this is 1.0. We could change this, but what
we will change this. We will.
We will change this, but depends on who they retire as head coach. I think that matters. What type of offense are they going to be running? That matters to what their draft is. So, yeah, you got a lot of questions. They're the biggest one in the top 5 where I was sitting there going, okay, they could go many different ways here. The other ones, it was like, all right, up between maybe 2 players for the most part. So,
yeah, and you actually picked my number 6 and number 5. I was going back and forth on NC State tackle or the Ole Miss tackle, Charles Cross or Ikem Ekwonu.
Okay.
I ended up choosing Ikem Ekwonu for the Panthers here. I think offensive tackle is almost certainly a position they're going to go with unless they are going to draft a quarterback, which they very well could draft a quarterback. They brought back Cam Newton. I don't think they're happy about that. PJ Walker is always going to be like a third string, bad second string, or lower level second string. And then Sam Darnold is also there. It's just like, where do they want to go at quarterback? Because they could draft Matt Corral here. They could draft Sam Howell. Malik Willis could even get reached on right here. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
They could draft Pickett because if Pickett falls, they could. If Pickett goes to, I wouldn't even call that falling if that's Pickett either.
No, yeah, I had Pickett at 5, so he's not on my board.
Yeah, Pickett could go. I don't think he's falling much out of the top 10, but wouldn't surprise me. So yeah, they could have their pick of the quarterback class here too. You never know.
They could. It's gonna. I think this is a quarterback or an offensive tackle, and I'm almost certain of it.
I'm actually having them pick Ahmad Gardner at corner here.
Oh, they do. They do need corner.
So they have J.C. Horn from last year's draft, but that's why I need somebody else on the other side.
2 top 10 draft picks.
That'd be the best young duo. That'd be the best young duo in the league, probably, as far as young corners.
Do you know they stocked up on corner, and you feel like they're going to re-sign one of their name, because they also traded for C.J. Henderson, who's also a young corner. They also traded for, or did they get him on after he was released? Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, Gilmore. Who knows? That guy's old.
Yeah, but I don't know. It depends what they believe their biggest need is. Keith Taylor, Stanley Thomas Oliver, Rashawn Melvin, C.J. Henderson, Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Horn, A.J. Bouye is there, Dante Jackson. I think they're set with I think corner is probably not. I would say a top 5. You could also say Troy Pride Jr. is another corner. So honestly, I would
half of those guys are not, in my opinion, half or at least 4 of those guys are not going to be re-signed, I would say.
And I'm gonna be on that board with you. I don't know. I just
maybe 5. I would say. I like Jackson. I think Gilmore's gone. Pride. Like, I mean, there's a handful of those guys that are not going to be there next year. And in my opinion, I think they're locked into Darnold for one more season, unless something changes, right? Unless Matt Rule's gone or something, you know what I mean? Before the season, you never know.
Do they want to give a free agent quarterback a reason to look there, or a rookie quarterback a reason to come there? I feel like protection's got to be huge. And
maybe, but I mean, when's their next pick after this?
Good question. They don't have another first round pick.
No, they don't have another first rounder. So to me, you either take your quarterback here or you're not. I mean, you're not getting. You're probably not getting a guy you want, in my opinion, a real guy you want.
Yeah.
So to me, if Pickett falls to this point and they're done, they're for sure done with Darnold. I know that Darnold isn't the long-term answer, but they're for sure saying, all right, we're moving on now. Then you take Pickett. But unless they fall in love with, another guy, another quarterback in the combine or draft prep, I think they're going a different direction here.
I think the top three offensive tackles in the class are both guys that look NFL ready, or all three of them look NFL ready. So that's why it's like, if Ikem Ekwonu is there or Charles Cross, it's like it's an either or for me, unless they really feel like taking a quarterback. But I think I guess I can't say 100%, but 97%, I would say tackle or quarterback screams here for me.
All right.
I just think they need the pass protection, or they need that franchise quarterback to try to build this regime with Matt Rules.
I also just don't. I don't like this quarterback class, and that's just me.
I hate it too. I hate it.
There's no. To me, there might not be a single franchise quarterback in this class.
To me, this is 2013 EJ Manuel, Geno Smith.
Yeah, like this isn't good. This is bad. Like there's a bunch of backups in this class.
Yeah,
if we're lucky. So,
number 7 will be the Giants pick from the Bears, and they have already picked at 5 there. I had them pick Kenny Pickett. You had them take Ekwonu, right?
Yep.
So, what position are they going to address here at 7?
I think they're going to take Devin Lloyd here.
Oh,
linebacker from Utah.
That might be the highest I've seen Lloyd go in mock draft.
I think he's awesome, and I think he's going to start moving up draft boards. He's really interesting to watch. Just flies around. Kind of a safety linebacker hybrid. You can use him in couple different spots, but he's probably a linebacker in the NFL. And you can really build the defense around him. He's played a lot of football. I mean, he played 5 years at Utah too. And I think you can kind of build your defense around that guy. So my other option here was possibly, if they really loved a receiver, a guy like maybe Treylon Burks or Jameson Williams. But I'm going to go Devin Lloyd here.
I think a lot of receivers are going to move up the board because, again, I think there's a bunch of receivers that are in that like 16 to like 40
I don't
range.
love this receiver class either, though. I really don't. I think there's a lot of speed, and there's some guys that I like, but I'm not all over this receiver class either.
I like it better than I like the quarterback class. But it's not great because there's not a single one that jumps out to me as like a top 10, 15 guy. Like I said, I think every wide receiver to me is like nice in like that 16 to 40 range. And beyond that, I don't know who would be that pick 16 guy, because I think they're all kind of so close together. I don't see one better than the other significantly. I mentioned, the Giants, wide receiver is a huge need. Quarterback was a need. Offense tackles a need. Edge is also a need. And I think George Karlaftis from Purdue is going to go here at 7. So they get their quarterback and then they get their edge rusher.
Okay.
Number 8, Falcons. And I am going to have the Falcons start prepping their new quarterback behind Matt Ryan. And that is going to be Matt Corral, Ole Miss.
So this is where I have Kenny Pickett going.
Okay.
Because I haven't been going yet.
So you agree that they're going to prep
I also considered receiver here too, because they need some help on the offensive side of the ball.
Do, especially if Ridley's going to keep his mental health.
But I also think this would be good for Kenny Pickett too, or any quarterback. Corral, anybody, because I think Matt Ryan can probably give them another year. He wasn't good this year, and he's steadily declining. But I think they're going to be locked into him for another year, and Matt Ryan seems like the kind of guy that you can learn behind for a season or maybe 2. And get ready. So
I'm absolutely 100% for the Falcons kind of doing that this year. I think it kind of needs to happen this year. And because I believe every quarterback in this class other than maybe Kenny Pickett, is all developmental.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, every other quarterback probably needs to sit. Would need to. I mean, and Pickett maybe even does too. I mean,
I was going to say
Pickett, I wouldn't thrust him into a situation.
Pickett's not
the crazy
primed,
thing is,
but
yeah, the crazy thing is like Zach. Like Zach Wilson would be like head and shoulders above most of these guys, and I didn't love him last year. I didn't love the QB class last year, even. And I liked it way more than this one, but.
I was definitely a little more shocked at Trevor Lawrence. Like I said, I still had Mac Jones as my Rookie of the Year candidate, but Trevor at the beginning of the preseason. But I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be a neck and neck type of quarterback. All of us. I mean, you and Isaiah also did too as the Rookie of the Year, just because.
I don't blame Trevor Lawrence for anything because he had Urban Meyer as the head coach for.
But also Darrell Bevel. Who is that?
Well, yeah, the GOAT, Darrell Bevel. Yeah.
Yes, the GOAT, Darrell Bevel. But to me, he seemed like a more surefire quarterback. I mean, if you're going to go number one overall, you're typically going to a bad situation as is. I mean, Urban Meyer certainly does not help an already bad situation. But like Andrew Luck was the last surefire quarterback I remember coming out of college, and he went to the Colts, who were in a really bad spot that year. So
makes sense.
I don't know. You just got to do better. Do better. Number 9, Broncos. Broncos, QB, offensive tackle, edge, secondary. I mean, they could use. Actually, I don't think secondary's got a huge need. We rated their secondary pretty high. It's kind of depend on who they sign.
They just drafted a corner last year.
Yeah, Patrick Surtain. Yeah. Then their linebacker isn't as one place that comes up, but Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson, their top 2 linebackers, were injured all year. So that's also a tough spot to kind of be in. I'm going to tab them, take a developmental quarterback as well, and it's going to be Sam Howell from North Carolina.
So I think the Broncos are going to pursue a top-tier quarterback in the offseason. So an Aaron Rodgers, if he's going to play, a Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, if that happens, whatever ends up happening there, that type of thing. Here, I'm going to actually have them take Karlaftis here.
Okay.
I think that's a need for them, especially when Von Miller left. So I think that's really something that they need to be able to hang their hat on that from the defensive side of the ball. But I think to settle up their quarterback problem, Drew Lock obviously is not the answer. Although I don't know, there's some talk where they still like Drew Lock, which I don't know. He has quarters of football that I watch, and I'm like, oh, this guy's all right. But yeah, I think they're going to go after a big name free agent or trade or something like that. So
yeah,
John Elway is ready to make a splash.
I certainly see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why this is still 1.0. This is as is right now, a current situation. But number 10, Jets. Their second pick also of the first round, 2 top 10s, always nice. They get this from the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I think they are going to take a corner. And I'm going to say Derek Stingley Jr., Calcium.
I'm going to say Trent McDuffie from Washington.
I've seen him go up draft boards pretty quick. He started out as a mid-second in the middle of the year when I was looking at some mock drafts, and now he's moved up into that. I haven't seen him at 10, but I have seen him in that 14, as high as 14.
I like him just better than Stingley. Stingley's kind of a wild card to me. As a freshman, he was a monster, future top 5 pick. And then the last couple of years, it's been maybe not, but he got hurt a little bit his freshman year. He's just been inconsistent. So since that coming back from injury, so we'll see. But yeah, the upside for Stingley is there. But I think McDuffie's just kind of more of a sure thing. So I like him there. I like Ahmad Gardner is the best corner in the draft. But there's some good corners in this draft, actually. I don't mind this corner group. So, yeah.
So we had 7 of the 10 picks at least in our top 10, or at least matched. They may not have all lined up, but 7 of the 10 were the same names. I put Derek Stingley Jr., Sam Howell, and Matt Corral in my top 10, and you just swapped it out for Devin Lloyd, Sauce Gardner, and Trent McDuffie. So that's not bad. I like a little bit of difference in there, but I think there are certainly surefire top 10 picks as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think all those guys could easily go in the top 17. I think they're all first rounders probably. I
think I'm just sticking to history in mine because, it seems like
quarterbacks end up flying up the boards just because that's just how they work. I don't like it, especially with this quarterback class. I don't like it. But I mean, I even had if we Corral probably going at 11 to the football team.
Yeah.
So I like that one. I don't know. There's a couple other. I don't know. Yes, you are right. They typically fly up the board, but we'll see. I don't know. It would
usually
frustrate
I'm not this ambitious on my first mock either.
Right, and this would frustrate me if this is the quarterback room, and they get 3 in the top 10. That's just like, come on, guys. Like, let's just be better. Like, none of these. No, like, be better. You don't need to pay these guys that much money. They're not that good.
The more they take, though, the less. I mean, the more position players get pushed back down that the Lions could use at that 30 to 32.
I read at 31. I was reading one today of the Lions taking Malik Willis at 31.
I've seen that too a lot. I've seen I've just seen quarterbacks of it. I've seen Sam Howell for him. I've seen Matt Corral.
I've seen Jameson Williams there too, which I would actually.
I've seen Treylon Burks even as far back down there. Drake London.
I'd be okay with Treylon Burks is a beast. He's big. He's big too, which the Lions need that.
Oh, is Drake London? Yeah, Drake London. I've seen up there too.
Yep.
Do you want 2 USC wide receivers? The last one worked out.
Yeah, maybe you do. I don't know.
Yeah.